We rescue and rehabilitate orphaned or injured wildlife, any native species to Ontario. We're licensed by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and animal species have to be specifically listed on the license. We focus on small mammals, so we primarily have raccoons. Procyon is Latin. Procyon lactoris is the Latin name for raccoons, and was the first love of the veterinarian that started the center. Skunks, fox, squirrels, opossums, porcupines, whatever, almost whatever, that we will look after if they've been orphaned or injured. We don't do removal of nuisance animals, for example, although that is often how we receive our orphans, is when people do a poor job of dealing with nuisance animals and end up with a mother trapped and relocated beyond the 1 kilometer legal limit, or killed, and the orphan babies left behind. We had already started receiving animals. We were not yet open for the season when things started to get crazy with all of the pandemic stuff. And when things were getting locked down, we were unable to determine at first on whether or not we would be determined an essential service. And we were petrified that we would have to shut down. And we already had some animals, and we knew how many we do receive every year, and we were very concerned because it was considered emergency, kind of went under the veterinary emergency side of the rules. We were able to open with a lot of additional protocols, with a lot of restrictions on how many people. So we had volunteers coming back, returning volunteers that were already trained, and we had had one training session for some first-year volunteers. So we were able to start with a very limited staff, where we could keep just one person in each room. We did a lot more fostering than we would ever normally do, and having experienced volunteers take babies home until they were a lower maintenance. When they need to be fed every 3-4 hours, we just didn't have enough bodies here for that, so we would foster them out this year. We changed our scheduling for our volunteer shifts. Normally, we want our shifts to overlap. We want the people coming in to be able to talk to the people going out to find out what happened, what's next to be done, etc. And instead, we created 2-hour breaks in between shifts to ensure that they weren't bumping into each other and that that shift wouldn't connect with the next shift. Our Canada Summer Job students started, and we're very dependent on those full-time people for continuity and the heavy work as we get into early summer. So we've scheduled them to do outside because they are in full-time, and so they work independently of the volunteers, just trying to make sure we keep everybody safe. What we need right now is more enclosures, which means money and manpower, labor. The medicines, the formulas, they cost a lot of money. And we have, again, wonderful things like the foundation that supports wildlife rescues, bringing us nest boxes and foods. They're working hard to support all of the rescues this year. And I think one of the things we need more than anything is to not get as many animals. Education Education is key in helping people coexist with wildlife. There's lots of ways to encourage that skunk out from under your shed or the raccoon out of your attic to leave and take her babies with her without trapping and releasing away or shooting them, killing them, poisoning them. Learning to coexist and to solve those problems without conflict brings us less babies, saves us time, money, and that would eventually, we shouldn't even need to be here. With the COVID pandemic, all of our normal big fundraisers, funnily enough, our yard sale is one of our biggest fundraisers with the least amount of work other than hauling stuff. Canceled or delayed, golf tournament canceled, our photo shoots at Easter time canceled. So a lot of things that we were hoping to have money for this year isn't going to happen. But we are finding that people are stepping up, and when they're bringing us animals, sometimes instead of $20, it might be $100. We had a lady bring us an injured raccoon early in the spring and noticed that we were all wearing masks, surgical paper masks, and she makes these. So she offered to, as a fundraiser, make masks where her costs were covered, but we get the rest of the money. In just the first few weeks, she's already brought us $1,000. It's been people stepping up and realizing that it's not just us facing this. And I think other charities are finding the same thing as well, that people are stepping up more. And a lot of people are suffering financially this year. So the fact that people are giving more at a time when they're facing more restraint touches me, because it means they care. And that makes it worthwhile for what we do.